This episode of Empty Betters is brought to you by DraftKings. It might not feel like it, but spring is right around the corner. Know how you can tell? Golfers are hitting the links, and we have some tournaments to talk about. And if you want to do more than just talk, put your money where your mouth is. Get in on all the tee to green action with DraftKings Sportsbook. From Thursday's opening round through the closing round Sunday, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered with tournament props, live betting, odds boosts, and so much more. If you've never bet on golf before, it's easier than you think. Just pick something simple like a golfer to win the tourney and make your pick. It's just that easy. Here's something special for first timers. New DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in New Hampshire, Oregon, and Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball. NFL Plus Premium offer available only to new and former NFL Plus subscribers. Additional NFL Plus Premium terms at nfl.com/terms.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to episode 251 of Empty Betters. I'm your host, Harrison Scholes, and I'm going to toss it across the screen to my co-host, Mr. Nick Manella. Happy day after trade deadline.
Yeah, dude, that was wild. My head's kind of still spinning from that one. I know we had some, rumors that some big stuff was going to go down, but I don't know if we thought stuff that big was going to go down.
Yeah, we will dive into all the trade deadline action here in a second. This episode is going to be solely dedicated to the moves and what we think is going to happen as a result. Before we get to all the fun stuff, I'm going to toss it across the screen to my other co-host, Mr. Mac Vogel. What's going on?
Am I not fun to you? This is before we get to the fun stuff. So
Yes, I
I'm just
apologize.
yeah, all right, that makes sense. Now I get that a lot. Yeah, I'm coming to you guys live in Baltimore actually this week. So if you're watching on YouTube, that's why my background looks a little different. But yeah, happy to be here. And I honestly, these trade deadline episodes are more for me than anything, so that I can like get my head around like what happened. I feel like I need it just as much as the listeners. So I'm excited to remind myself where the hell some of these players are playing now.
That's so true. You need it. And we all do. And we all need the free agency one too. That one almost breaks my brain a
Yeah,
little bit more over the summer, just
totally.
because it's so crazy. But you're spot on. Because I feel like so much stuff that was like not major happened this year, but
Yeah.
it's still kind of worth talking
Well,
about.
it's like I have to say it out loud and be like, okay, Trent Frederick got traded, like, so I
Correct.
know, and then I get it. So,
So this is how we're gonna roll with this. There's no template we're going off of. There's no notes we're going off of. This is straight from the hip. We've got an ESPN trade tracker in front of us. We are gonna start on March 4th because that's the earliest trades that happen, and we'll work our way up until yesterday. So it's if it seems like it's chaotic or out of order because we're not talking about Rantanen first, that's probably why. We're not going to pay too much attention to some of the smaller deals, but we'll go in depth on the big ones.
mostly just the big ones like Patrick Giles to San Jose and
Precisely.
that kind of
Yeah,
stuff that everyone wants to hear about.
exactly.
All right, so let's get started. March 4th, that was the day we last aired an episode. So, of course, right after Trent Frederick goes to Edmonton along with Max Jones. A couple things go to Boston. Devils get the rights to someone you've probably never heard of. So, all in all, the Oilers get bigger and tougher with Frederick up front.
That's a good move for them.
Yeah, I like that move a lot for them. They need a little bit of that piss and vinegar in the playoffs. I think we've seen it in the past. Nurse gets hurt, Evander Kane gets hurt, it's kind of like who's stepping up next there. So I think that's a great move for the
Yeah, a
Oil.
little bit of sandpaper.
Exactly.
This next one I'm reading for Caps fans. Your ex-goaltender Vitek Vanacek gets traded to Florida. He's going to fill in that backup goalie spot now that they got rid of Spencer Knight in the Seth Jones trade.
And
Thoughts,
Patrick
comments?
Giles, legend. If you're local, you might know that name. He was a Chevy Chase born Maryland guy and played for Landon School.
I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
but no, Boo is right. You can boo him all you want, but yeah, talented young player. I don't know if I don't think he's gotten NHL minutes yet. Not positive about that, but he's been in the AHL putting some pucks in the net, so we'll see what happens there.
Love to see the DMV guys get a shot, though. That's awesome.
Exactly. Yeah, always cool.
Absolutely. This one relatively big. Tampa Bay. We all knew that they were gonna probably do something. There was a lot of Alex Tuck rumors, but they get Yanni Gord back in the mix, along with Oliver Bjorkstrand from the Seattle Kraken, and then the Kraken get and Isamont, a couple picks. Red Wings get in there, retaining 25% of Gord's salary. So all in all, Tampa beefs up front. And now this team has a third line that is legitimately scary, and everyone knows that Tampa's coming. Your thoughts on this trade?
I hate
It's
it.
it's bad. Yeah. I'm very scared of Tampa Bay. I think they are the team to beat in the East. Maybe Florida now with the whole Marchand thing. We'll get to that later, but yeah, I mean, hockey in Florida is scary right now. Tampa and Florida are scary.
Obviously, I think this team is probably not going to jump out on paper as much as those Tampa teams that went back to back to people. I think they're still just as dangerous. I think this
Oh
team is
yeah.
going to give other teams in the East so many problems in the postseason. I feel like it almost doesn't matter where these guys finish as long as they just get in, which they will. They can just wreak havoc.
Leafs in the first round again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think I tweeted this yesterday. There has not been a team in the Eastern Conference to go to the Stanley Cup Finals this decade. It just runs through Tampa and Florida, and that's it. That's the only two teams to represent the East in the Cup Finals this decade. It's pretty crazy, actually.
Ugh.
Yeah, that's wild. Would like to change that this year, but unfortunately, after yesterday, I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I kind of don't either.
I'm pretty much with you on that. The Pens, couple minor trades. They get rid of Bunting, and they get Tommy Novak and Luke Schenn back. To Frank Saravelli, I cannot stand that guy. God, he pisses me off.
He blows.
He called this the dumbest trade he's ever seen in his lifetime. And I'm like, how is this, out of all the things that have been done in the NHL over the last 20 whatever years, how is this the one?
Well, does it pass the Taylor Hall Adam Larson test? Then it's not the dumbest trade ever.
Or
Yeah,
the, I'm not trying to poke fun, but the
Oh, but
Erat
yeah,
Forsberg.
that was a dumb trade. We all know that.
horrible. Saravalli looks like he's like 68, by the way, and I think he's still in his 30s, so fuck that
Yes. No, I'm not a huge fan. They also got a pick for Vinny Desjardins. So both Luke Shen and Desjardins will get their banners raised as the shortest tenured Penguins. Respect.
Thoughts
Uh,
on the Pens getting Luke Shen, though, in your opinion?
well, they traded him.
Yeah, I mean, just, brief, have any words you want to say about his time there,
Thank you for your service. I saw someone say one of the reporters was like he told Dubas he wants to go to a contender, and some fan like quote tweeted it was like, "Who the fuck does this guy think he is?" Like
guy.
Luke Shen has the right to. I was like, yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Right.
Um,
Did he win a cup in Tampa?
I think he was on one
yes,
of those teams,
I
wasn't he?
believe he was.
Yeah.
I believe he was
Mickey Mouse here, maybe.
potentially.
Which one?
Right.
All three of their cups, you could say, were Mickey Mouse.
Uh, Two. Speaking of Brian
Fair.
Dumoulin, or I'm sorry, speaking of Penguins defenseman, Brian Dumoulin goes to New Jersey. Ducks retain 50%, second round pick, prospect like that for the Devils, even though I think their season's essentially over at this point with the Hughes injury that we talked about last episode. So
So bad.
not too much to talk about there. This next one should come as no surprise to anybody. Riley Smith going back to Vegas. The I believe there's a 50% retain on Smith's salary, and the Rangers get Brendan Brisson and a third round pick. I saw on Twitter that Riley Smith never sold his home after he got traded from Vegas to Pittsburgh. So I guess this was the plan all along.
Yeah, it kind of
Interesting.
works out well for Vegas. I mean, they get rid of him to free up cap space, and then they get him back for half the price.
Yes. Relatively quiet deadline for VGK. A little
Yeah,
surprising.
I know. I thought they were going to make a way bigger splash, but I'm fine with this. I do like
Uh,
that move for them, though.
Yeah, that's an annoyingly good move.
Panthers and Jets swap a couple goalies, Kakinen and Dreger. Not really too much to dissect there. Rangers get Carson Soucy from the Canucks for a third. The Bruins, man, they were on a fire sale this deadline. They get rid of Justin Brazeau. He goes to Minnesota, and they get back a couple guys in a six-round pick. I kind of like that for many. Big body, can score, playoff performer.
That's what that team needs.
Yep.
Yeah, kind of a Trent Frederick light, if you will.
Yeah, totally.
This is a big one. We'll talk about this one. The Avalanche, they get Brock Nelson from the Islanders in exchange for a bunch of stuff, but the key piece here is Calum Ritchie, a 2026 first round pick. Those are the two big pieces in the trade. So we know Brock, there's all these rumors about Brock Nelson. We knew probably going to get traded. We were talking about if Washington needed him. What does this do to the Colorado Avalanche in terms of where you rank them as a cup contender?
This was the first big one for me. I think this happened, what, like midnight, just as the day had ticked over into Friday. And, a lot of teams, I think, would have wanted Brock Nelson. But I think what this gives Colorado is just a second line center and a damn good one at that. And I think once you start to make Colorado a little bit deeper down the middle, everyone in the West should start to get concerned because with how good their defense core is and how good that top line can be, it's like if they can take competent minutes from a second line center and give Nathan MacKinnon a shift off, that's just, I mean, how many more shifts can he play in the third period there? Do you see what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yep. I I think this is a fantastic deal for them. And I know that Islanders fans are probably pretty heartbroken. Brock was a fan favorite there, played his whole career there. Um, he was fighting back tears in the interview after his last game on Long Island. So I know he probably shares that sentiment too. But you never know. I could see him like re-signing with the Isles this offseason or something like that too.
33 years old, Brock Nelson, 20 goals so far this season on what most would consider as a pretty offensively dead Islanders team. So you put him in the mix with the Avalanche, you got to imagine he's going to be putting up some numbers. I know we've talked about him a lot, but back in 2021, 2022, career high of 37 goals. So pretty decent, especially on the Islanders. Um, Nick, you're kind of the prospect guru. Everyone's saying Calum Ritchie can't miss grade A prospect coming back to the Isles. What are your thoughts?
It's a good return. Cal Ritchie's going to be, I think, a solid player in the NHL. I think this is good for the Islanders. It's just always a question. I feel like when you hand Lou young players, is like, what direction is this going to go? Because it's either going to work out great or they're going to end up trading this guy away for like 40% of what he's worth in 2 years.
I agree. It's definitely a step up from Middlestat. Colorado's pretty dangerous. They made a couple more moves that we'll talk about in a little bit. Um, Jake Wallman, he's going to the Oilers from the Sharks, and the Sharks get Carl Berglund and a conditional 26 first round pick. Oilers, obviously, that blue line is horrendous. We all know it. And I guess this is their way of trying to patch it up before the playoffs. So I don't have too much to say. I don't really think that's the move they needed to make, but your guys' thoughts? Anything?
I like Jake Wallman. He was a stud at Providence, won a national championship with Tanev and Achari when they were both there, and I think Jankowski was on that team too. But uh, yeah, this is a move that the Oilers desperately needed to make. I think they might be looking around and asking themselves why they didn't make another one on top of this, but good
Yeah.
start. Let's put it that way.
The Capitals continue to take the pieces of the Penguins' awful bottom six. Don't know why. Caps get Anthony Beauvillier for a second round pick, which shocked a lot of people. Kind of a depth move, but I think I told you, or I was texting my buddy Mike Zito. He was like, is he better than Radish? I was like, he's small and he skates and he can't score. He goes, got it, small Radish. And then that night, Radish scored, of course. So that's my analysis.
Spot on. I mean, yeah, I think, a lot of Caps fans were probably a little bit confused by this move or expecting the team to do something more. I saw a lot of that on Twitter, which I kind of wholeheartedly disagree with. But I mean, this is exactly what I told you guys yesterday. I look at this as a Vrana replacement. Vrana got waived and picked up by Nashville. He was sort of like your 13th forward. So I think this is exactly what that move is. We've seen Beauvillier show some playoff nails. I mean, with the Islanders, what was it like 2019, 2020? He was pretty good. So you would hope if and when someone's dinged up in the postseason that he can just hop in and eat up some bottom six.
Yeah, you wonder for sure if maybe you bring a guy like that back into the postseason for well, I guess he was on the Islanders last year, but that's Islanders postseason hockey. That's kind of different. So
Correct.
yeah, I don't know. I wonder what it does. Put a guy on a good offensive team this year, and bring him back in the postseason. Maybe he gets a little spark and returns to old form. I'd be happy to see that. For what it's worth, the lines this morning at the Capitals morning skate look like this: Ovi, Strome, Wilson, McMichael, Dubois, Protus, Mangiapane, Eller, and Radish, and then they've got Beauvillier on that fourth line with Duhaime and Dowd right now. Ethan Frank being the extra forward for now. So cue all of the cue all of the young Caps fans immediately freaking out that this was a bad move because it's going to take minutes away from Ethan Frank and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, dude, this is fine. You want an extra guy like this who's been in
Yeah.
the NHL. Frank can be the extra forward. He'll earn a game here and there. It's fine. This is a good move. I'm kind of glad we didn't do anything too crazy.
Yes.
Just because I think you don't want to. I'm really glad they didn't get rid of anyone because that would have been tough for that locker room being as close as they are. But yeah, I'm fine with this.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty innocent trade, honestly. Um, we'll move on to the Kings. They get Andrei Kuzmenko from the Flyers with a couple pick swaps. The Flyers get a third, the Kings get a seventh. Again, like raise the banner for longest tenured Philadelphia Flyer, Andrei Kuzmenko. I don't really understand how like they just gave up Farabee and Frost, and Kuzmenko is supposed to be that key piece back, another Russian to help Michkov, and then they get rid of him.
For a
I don't know.
third.
Yeah, I don't really understand that one. I know the Kings need offense. I said last episode Raquel should be on their radar. I guess this is like, their light version of that. I don't think it's enough to put the Kings past the Oilers in the first round, personally.
It doesn't, but I kind of really like this move for the Kings. I like Kuzmenko's game as a player. I don't know if Torts was like, "Hey, I can do Michkov or Kuzmenko, but I can't do both," like
Yeah.
but I like it for the Kings. I have a feeling he could go off in LA.
And this is a pretty big one. This next one, the Senators, they win the Dylan Cozens sweepstakes as predicted by our boy, Mr. Mac Vogel, last episode during our speed bag round. They also get Dennis Gilbert and a 2026 second round pick. And then the Sabres get Josh Norris and Jacob Bernard Docker. Pretty big trade. A couple big boy centers here getting swapped. Your guys' reaction?
Really interesting one. I mean, I don't know why. I feel bad for Josh Norris, first of all, because I think he was a great fit on that Senators team. Also, really, I don't know if I've ever seen, did you guys see Brady Tkachuk talking about Josh Norris? I
Yes.
don't know if I've ever seen an NHL player get that emotional about a teammate getting traded. That was something else. I've
I
never seen
think
that.
the only other one I can think of is Hank when Zuccarello got traded, but that's it.
Yeah, that's tough for sure.
Yeah, doesn't really help the people in the camp of saying Brady Tkachuk is as good as gone, for a variety for a variety of reasons. But I do like this for the Sens. Josh Norris, kind of a band-aid, always seems to be dinged up.
Yeah.
Um,
Not
you
his
know,
fault, but yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, Cousins in his second year of a 7-year deal, 7.1 mil cap hit. Norris year three of eight and basically an 8 mil cap hit. So. They basically got a more expensive Dylan Cozens, who's older.
Yeah. I don't really get what the Sabres
Yeah,
are doing in this, to be honest.
go figure.
Yeah.
Neither does Ryan Whitney because he said it is amazing to watch Buffalo crumble before our eyes, and Sabres fans were not happy in the replies. Let's put it that way. Kevin
Yeah.
Adams has a target on his back.
Well, I mean, everything that franchise has done for the past 30 years has been just bad. So
Yeah.
I get
I
it.
I do know we all agreed yesterday in the chat, and Mac, I think you backed me up. I kind of like what Ottawa's done at this deadline. I like their
I think it's
moves.
good. I think they could definitely get in.
Agreed. Uh, Next one, mentioned this earlier. Luke Shen, hang the banner, didn't even play a game, and then he gets swapped over to Winnipeg. That just seems like it makes sense. Big bruising defenseman going to Winnipeg seems right. Penguins get a second round pick out of that one too, which is shocking to me. Don't understand how that works. Brandon Tanev, he's going back to Winnipeg for a reunion, and the Kraken get a second round pick. I love this move. I think that when I think of Winnipeg, hard checking, fast, bruiser type hockey, and that's exactly what Turbo is.
Yeah, that's perfect for them.
It's a good move. I mean, whoever's the idiot that was tweeting it was going to take multiple first round picks to move this man. I'm just glad we agreed on a second round pick because that's
Yeah.
much more reasonable.
Next trade, and Nick Manella may or may not have tried to call this or jinx it last episode if you listen to our speed bag segment, but Scott Lawton is going to Toronto. Flyers retain 50%. They get a conditional 2027 first round pick, as well as prospect Nikita Grebenkin. And then Toronto gets a couple picks thrown in there too. So this guy was a pretty sought after deadline acquisition here. There was a lot of talk about Scott Lawton this year, actually the last couple years, but the Leafs finally get him. Nick, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, Leafs fans, you're welcome. Venmo's at Nick Manella, so feel free to donate to the cause of me just like jinxing or reverse jinxing your team. So, uh, I like this move for the Leafs. They need a player like this. I know they've been trying to get a player like this. They tried the David Clarkson thing. That went exactly how it went. The Tyler Bertuzzi thing didn't really pan out for them. Maybe it's this guy. I don't know, but I really like what they did here. I think this is a solid move and yeah, again with the Flyers, I'm just like these moves are a little chaotic to me. I don't really know what Philly's
I
looking for
don't I
here.
don't see the bigger picture for Philly. I do like the move for the Leafs. I saw a lot of people like every time Scott Lawton was mentioned in the days leading up to the deadline as like, oh, this team might be interested in Scott Lawton. Every time that team's fan base would chime in and be like, "Oh, I don't want freaking Scott Lawton or whatever." And I'm like, I don't really get it, dude. I would love Scott Lawton on my team. I think he's a great bottom six forward guy, brings some jam, just a gritty kind of player. So I don't really get what all the hate was about, but I think it's a good addition for the Leafs.
I think those people are just superstar hunting. They want like
Yeah,
a 30 goal scoring winger, a 40 goal scoring
exactly.
center, something like that.
Yeah, Daily Faceoff has him slotted as that third line center, centering Domi and McMahon. I think that's an excellent third line come playoff time. That screams depth, goal scoring, toughness, all that stuff. And I echo whoever said that he plays with a little jam. Only 2 seasons removed from an 18 goal campaign with 43 points. So for a third line center, that's exactly what you want.
Yeah. And then with the Leafs, it just comes down to can you show up in the postseason?
Uh, yes, pretty much exactly. All right. Next one, biggest trade of the deadline by far. Maybe the biggest trade we've seen in I don't know. I can't remember a situation quite like this. Mikko Rantanen cucks the Carolina Hurricanes and is now joining the Dallas Stars in what was one of the most famous sign-in trades of all time. I think it was an 8-year, $12 million offer for $100 million over the course of the entire contract. And the Hurricanes get back Logan Stankoven, two first-round picks in 26 and 27, and two third-round picks also in 26 and 27. Just an insane way that all of this went down. I'll let you guys take the floor, and then I have a tweet that I think summarizes this pretty well.
So first of all, I actually think that the Hurricanes did pretty good here return wise in terms of like the situation they were in and kind of being a little handcuffed. But to get two firsts and a couple of thirds and Stankoven, I'm not pissed about that if I'm a Canes fan. Like if I know we can't re-sign him, I'm cool with what we got back. Um, however, I think this is like just a game changer for Dallas. Like I think it immediately puts them right back in the cup contender conversation. Not that they had really fallen out, but if there was any doubt, I think this really confirms them as an actual contender in my mind.
I totally agree. I think they become the contender in my mind because they don't really have, I mean, what's their biggest weakness right now is the
Yeah.
fact that Haskinen's hurt, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So, but up and down the lineup, I mean, that's a gritty team. That's a fast team. It's a team that can really put the puck in the net. I mean, you're hoping to get Sagan back at some point, I would think too. So, yeah, the return for Carolina is interesting. I saw a lot of people upset about Dallas. They're like, why would you give away two first round picks? And my response to that is, well, those first round picks probably would have been 26 to
Yeah.
31st anyways. So I
Yep.
don't really think that Dallas is going to be able to draft anyone that would get into this lineup anyways, especially when you've got, Granlund in there now. You've got Marchment, Johnston. You've got younger guys in there that have earned spots. And you just, I
They're a
mean,
team that can afford to shed a couple of first round picks. They're fine.
exactly. So I think the pushback I saw from Canes fans that were upset was you essentially took Marty Necas and turned it into Logan Stankoven and picks.
Yeah.
And I don't think people were thrilled about that. And
Yeah.
that I think you can fault Canes management for because they
Sure.
probably wouldn't have done it that way if they knew that's how it was going to go. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I mean, Stankoven's going to be a great Hurricane. I said that to you guys
Yep.
yesterday. And then two firsts and two thirds is just, you almost
Yeah.
had to say yes to it.
I agree that I think you prefer niches, and if you could just press the undo button on the whole thing, you probably would. But given the situation, I think they did about as good as they could have.
Absolutely. The real winner here, Jack Roslovic gets his number back.
Yeah, that is hilarious. I saw
with a
that.
Rolex.
And
Yeah,
a
and a free
Rolex.
Rolex.
So Greg Wyshynski put this perfectly, and it's kind of a summary of everything you guys basically just said, which I pretty much agree with entirely. In a vacuum, the Hurricanes traded Natchez, Jack Drury, a second, a fourth for Stankoven, Taylor Hall, a first, a third, and I mean that's a hell of a haul. And he writes that, and then at the end he goes, "In a vacuum, that's nothing but a win for the Canes, but this ain't a vacuum."
Yeah,
And I think
yeah,
that puts it perfectly because
it does.
like, yes, all that happens, but you lose Gensel, Natchez, and Rantanen all
Yeah,
within 12 months. And the window's now. Like, I think that's the thing
yeah.
that Canes fans recognize is like, you need to win right now.
Yeah.
You
Mhm.
can't wait any longer at this point.
It goes back to what I said when we were speculating about whether Rantanen would get moved again like a week ago or something, where it's like, would it have been better to just bite the bullet and know you're not going to get anything for Rantanen at the end of the season, but keep him because you want to win the cup this season and you're going to use him to try and do that? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but
Yeah, that's a great question. It's one of those things where you look at the Hurricanes and you're just like, Harry, you make a great point. It's like Gensel left and now Rantanen's leaving and maybe guys don't want to play there.
like put it this way though, I am not scared of the Hurricanes whatsoever in the postseason. I would gladly welcome a matchup against them.
Hmm. Okay. I like that little shit stirring. I'm for
No,
it.
no goaltending, no superstar goal scorer.
That's also a huge, yeah, the
Yeah.
goaltending's a gigantic problem.
Yep.
Um, Shifting towards Dallas side a little bit, I am seeing a lot of people say this is now the best top nine in the salary cap era of the NHL, and I that's a lofty, lofty thing to say, but when I read this lineup to you guys, it's probably going to make a little sense. We got J-Rob, Hintz, and Rantanen as the first line,
Yep.
Marchment, Duchesne, and Granlund as the second line, and then Ben, Johnston, and Dodonov on the third line. And Sagan's hurt. I don't know if he'll come back, but that is that is loaded.
What's wild is those second and third lines are essentially interchangeable.
Yeah.
Like three could play two and two could play three, and it would probably be fine.
Yeah, and their third line could be a second line on most teams. It's definitely stacked. I don't know if I'm going to say it's the greatest in the salary cap era, but it's certainly very good.
Yeah. Worth noting, I'm looking at Stanley Cup odds right now. Who do you think the favorite, who do you think the top three favorites are to win the Stanley Cup after the trade deadline are?
The Washington Capitals.
They are six.
I'm going to go with I think Dallas is probably one of them.
Which one do you think Dallas is?
Second.
They are second.
Florida
Okay.
has to be one.
Florida's one.
And third, probably like Winnipeg or Vegas or some shit or
That's a shocking thing. It's not.
um
You know
Tampa?
this? No, I know. No, it's crazy.
East or West?
West.
Is it fucking
Colorado?
Edmonton?
It's Edmonton.
Oh,
What the
bullshit,
fuck?
dude.
Come on.
No chance.
They've got the top five
No.
as Florida,
No.
Dallas, Edmonton, Colorado, Vegas, and then the Caps are six.
The
Edmonton ahead
Oilers
of
are
Winnipeg?
not.
Are you
No,
kidding me?
no.
They've got Toronto ahead of Winnipeg.
That's
Yeah.
cute.
Okay.
That's real
Okay.
cute.
I don't know. It's just
All right.
interesting. I wouldn't have guessed that.
How
That's
about
silly.
no?
Yeah, exactly.
Moving on from that Rantanen trade, we have Charlie Coyle and a fifth going to Colorado for Casey Middlestat, Will Zellers, and a 2025 second. So Colorado gets their third line center. Now they've got McKinnon, Nelson, and Coyle running down the middle. Pretty lethal.
Yeah,
I,
that's good.
I would say they're right there with Dallas as Kings of the West, honestly.
Yep.
Yeah, Charlie Coyle is a great third line playoff center to have.
For sure. The Red Wings, they solved all of their goaltending problems over the deadline that we have been talking about for several seasons by getting Peter Mrazek and Craig Smith for Joe Veleno going to Chicago.
I saw a report like 2 days before the trade deadline. It was like right after the Hawks got Spencer Knight. And this was not a joke. This was like a real like report. And it said the Blackhawks are willing to get rid of Peter Mrazek for free if they can find a suitor.
Well, they
And
found him.
I think they found it.
Yeah. Red Wings have lost five in a row. Not a good time to be doing that in the playoff race, especially with what Ottawa's doing.
Yeah. They've
No.
been so streaky this year.
Yeah.
They have. They have.
It's all or nothing. It's on or off, and they got to figure that out.
Luke Kunin, he's going to Columbus. Cody Glass is going to New Jersey. Both of those guys for some draft picks. Let's see. The Maple Leafs, they get Brandon Carlo. It was a little bit of a three-way trade with Pittsburgh and Boston. Boston gets a first-round pick and Fraser Minton, but Toronto's going to get Brandon Carlo. Pretty solid defenseman there for Toronto.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good move for the Leafs. Going back to what I said about Edmonton earlier, this is probably one that the Oilers would have loved to have as well. Obviously didn't work out. They made a couple other moves, but yeah, love this move for the Leafs. I think this is exactly what they need.
Yeah, big bruising, hard-working defenseman. I think that's going to work well for them in their second or third pairing. Now, we move on to maybe the most surprising deal. I know that there were a couple rumors that this guy was going to get moved. I think I texted you guys. I think Vegas is going to get him somehow. And I read that they were interested and they were trying, but Brad Marchand gets traded to the Florida Panthers for a conditional 2027 second round pick. And Bruins fans are pissed, to put it mildly. Your reaction to this trade?
Can you guys imagine being at like just a Boston like Irish dive bar last night on Friday night, hours after the trade deadline? Do you want to know how many drunken Bostonians were just
What happened?
drinking their sorrows away? Yeah, what happened? No, I mean, this is tough. As much as I hate the Bruins, you got to feel for him a little bit in this situation. That's a guy who's been on your team for basically 20 years. That's insane, just to say out loud. And not only is he leaving, not only are you only getting a second round pick back, he is going to the Florida Panthers, who has been kind of your biggest playoff rival of the last like couple of years here, the team that you really haven't been able to like solve in the playoffs. And yeah, now you kind of can't root for him because I don't think many Boston fans are too crazy about the Florida Panthers. I don't know. This is just it's a big fuck you to Boston fans.
It
It's so
really is.
tough.
That's a
So
great way to
tough.
put it. Yeah, I don't know what it is about the Atlantic Division where yesterday they woke up and just texted in their group chat that was like, "Hey, let's just swap every good player we
Yeah.
have in division today." You know, you saw it
Yeah,
with the
that
Sens and
right,
Sabres, and then
right.
now the fucking Bruins and Cats. But I totally echo what you said. That is a massive fuck you to Brad Marchand. I think a lot of people, including him, probably wanted to see him finish his career in Boston. You know,
Yep.
I know his contract's up. I know he's 37. Do you not think that he knows he's 37 and
Right.
probably has a year or two left? Do you not
Yeah,
think he would have taken the hometown discount to stay there and have that number retired?
I,
that's what I would think, but didn't they offer him something?
they did.
Right.
They shortballed
That's
him.
true.
They offered him I think it was a 2-year extension at 3 million per, and he was like,
Mm,
"Yeah, no." Like, I mean, say what you will about Marchand, but
yeah.
intangibles, leadership, and he's still productive on the ice relatively.
Locker
For
room.
3 mil
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
like, and the cap's going up. I'm like, 3 mil, really?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. It is a little bit of a fuck you to like your biggest fucking like player that you have
I'm
left.
Feels like
surprised
the
they just like
Stamkos
didn't let it sit until the summer and then
I
maybe it's like,
know.
all right, go up to five, five and a
I
half.
know
It's like,
because if you're only gonna get a fucking second round pick anyway, then just fucking keep him at that point. You
right.
know what I mean? Like I
To
don't
me, that
really.
says they've given up on the season
Oh,
because
they for sure have
you
bailed.
just threw a
They
hand
traded.
grenade into the locker room and your only
Yep.
return is a second round pick. So
Yep.
you're
And they
basically
traded
going,
Carlo. They traded Frederick. They traded
right.
everybody. Brazo.
Yeah,
I
they're throwing in the
don't
towel.
understand how that man still has a job. It is mind-blowingly
Yeah.
stupid the moves he's made over the last 10 years and still has a job. It's insane.
So now we will have the pleasure, assuming that Marchand and Kachuk get back healthy for playoffs at some point, of having Sam Bennett, Matthew Kachuk, and Brad Marchand on a line together, which is
Yeah.
it's just I can't even imagine
You
that.
can't play that team. You
You
cannot play
can't.
against that team. Like what?
I was texting someone, I can't remember who it was, but these guys are just street fighters. Like that's the way I
Yeah, like
describe the Panthers.
you can't. What do you do? Like, there's no game plan to play against that line.
How do you get the puck out of the corner against that line?
Yeah,
Yeah. And
it's
the
crazy.
amount of pims that they'll draw with that
Oh my
line,
God.
it's
Right.
nuts.
Yeah.
So yeah, Florida's they're swinging big. They're going for it again. If they get
Hmm.
Kachuk and Marchand back healthy, look out. The Senators get Fabian Zetterlund from the Sharks.
Another great
Uh,
move.
yeah, I like that. I know when Puck Picks was on the season preview, he was big on Zetterlund,
He's a good
bullish.
player.
Yeah, I think he's solid. That should be a good fit for Ottawa.
I don't hate Sharks getting Noah Gregor back too. That's a decent
Yeah,
play.
It's a good move to get a young guy in Ostapchuk too. I think that's a good move
Hmm.
for where San Jose is at versus where
Yeah.
Ottawa's at.
No, exactly.
Rangers get Abe Kubel. Sabres get Eric Brandstrom, so they'll swap there. Trying to see. Eric Johnson is going back to Colorado. That's a huge locker room move for the boys.
It is.
McKinnon was asked about that. They love him there, so that's good
Yep.
for them.
Good to see. That was a heartwarmer for sure.
Hmm.
And that is kind of it for the trade deadline. I know we kind of went through that quick, but there was a ton of trades. Didn't want to spend too much time on some of the smaller ones. So, what are
Hold on, the Devils got Dennis Cholowski. Let's not end this too hastily here. Thought we were going to talk about that for about 25 minutes.
Oh, easily.
so let's get the hard-hitting question out of the way that everyone wants to know. Give me your top five power rankings in terms of teams as a result of the deadline. I will
Do you
let
want
Mac
do you
go
want me to
first.
like tell you the five teams that I think had the best deadline, or you want
No, the five best teams in the NHL
after the deadline?
after the deadline.
Okay. Um
You can
let's
start.
okay, let's go with number one, the I'll say I'll say Florida Panthers if healthy. Asterisk if healthy. Number two, Dallas Stars. Number three, Colorado Avalanche. Number four, Tampa Bay Lightning. And number five, probably Winnipeg. I mean, they didn't do anything too crazy, but they get Tanev and they're really good already. And yeah, I think they're right up there still.
I like that. I'm going to go Florida 1, Dallas 2, Winnipeg 3, Tampa 4, and the Washington Capitals 5.
Love it.
I'm gonna
Colorado
go.
just outside with 6.
Okay.
I like it. I'm gonna go Dallas 1, Florida 2, Colorado 3, uh, Tampa 4, and then fifth one's tough. Feels like a three-way tie between Vegas, Washington, and Winnipeg, but I'm gonna pick Vegas.
Okay.
I feel
And
like when it
I,
comes down to Dallas and Florida, you nailed it. It's just like get healthy and who is the most healthy the quickest.
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So a hell of a deadline. A lot of drama. Rantanen, Marchand being the two biggest ones. I think we've got about 20 games remaining for most teams at this point. So yeah, good deadline, good episode. Any notes you guys want to add before we wrap up and do trivia?
Good Caps win yesterday. I know they've been a little bit quiet, a little bit of a slump the last week and a half. So to see them wake up in the third against the Red Wings was awesome. I know we talked about the Wings being streaky. Yesterday was a great example of that. But I mean, shout out to Willie, great goal. Pro had two awesome ones, and love seeing Duhaime drop the gloves recently. He did it in New York. He did it against Detroit. That guy is just complete nails.
Yeah. No, I thought it was a good one too. I caught the highlights. I was at a show last night, but great game, and I will actually be in the building for the Kraken game on Sunday. So if you're there, come say hi.
Yeah, same. Shout out to the Penguins for a great effort last night. 4-0 ass whipping from the Vegas Golden Knights. It was really a pleasure to watch. Love watching this team tank. Yeah, it's been a great season. Before we get to trivia, this trivia segment is brought to you by Prop Tracker, your one-stop shop for all outlier bets. Shots, rebounds, receptions, you name it, it tracks it, sends notifications to your home screen so you don't have to be refreshing your DraftKings account to see if your bets hit or you're checking the score app. None of that stuff. So go download Prop Tracker using the link in any of our social media bios, or you can go download it at proptrackerapp.com/emptybetters. Mac, the floor is yours.
All right. I'm going to ask you guys a trade deadline related trivia question. The question is, or the topic is, number of players acquired on NHL trade deadline day by each franchise since the 1979-80 season. So,
Whoa.
right away, I'm going to tell you we're just not going to include Utah, Seattle, or Vegas because the stats are just skewed and they don't have many because they haven't been around that long. So just get those three teams out of your head for now. Um, I want to know, what team do you think has made the least amount of deadline day moves since 79-80? And they don't necessarily have to have been around since 79-80, but you get it. And then what team has made the most?
Okay. Least and most.
Hmm. And actually, hold on, let me make sure here. I believe, yeah, there is a tie for the most, a two-way tie for the most.
Okay.
So we're starting with least.
Whatever you want.
Nick, you give the most a shot first.
Okay. Most, and there's a two-way tie. I don't know why, but I feel like the Boston Bruins have made a lot of deadline deals over the course of their career.
On deadline day, just 42, which is pretty much middle of the pack for the sheet that I'm looking at here
Well,
for the
shit.
Bruins.
I believe my Pittsburgh Penguins would be at the top.
They are tied for
Whoa.
first with 73 deadline day moves since 79-80.
Yeah, that makes
Who are they
sense.
tied with?
Montreal?
Nope. Montreal is actually almost the fewest. They have just
Wow.
29. Just 29 for Montreal. The lowest team has 28. Again, not including Vegas, Seattle, Utah.
For who's tied with Pittsburgh for the most, let's go with Toronto.
Nope. Toronto just 40.
For the least, can I get a Minnesota?
They are tied with Montreal for second to least, also with 29, but there's a team with only
Damn it.
28.
I'm gonna keep attacking the most.
Okay.
Let's go Philly.
Nope. Philly is also tied for second least with
Damn.
29.
I'm gonna
Damn.
keep attacking the least. Can I get the Washington Capitals?
Caps are middle of the pack, 42.
Damn it.
Rangers.
Rangers are tied with the Penguins for most, 73 as well.
That makes sense.
Yep.
So we just need the least one now.
Yep, the team that's only made 28 deadline day moves since 79-80.
And I get the San Jose Sharks.
Nope. Sharks are 34.
Let's go with Calgary.
Calgary 48.
What about those Columbus Blue Jackets?
Oh, that's a good one.
Those Columbus Blue Jackets 39,
Wow.
believe it or not.
Carolina Hurricanes.
35.
This is tough.
We thought this would be a trivia segment that wouldn't have people punching their steering wheel, but
Right.
The least amount of deadline trades since 1980.
Yep.
Where are the Sabres in this?
Sabres at 45.
Okay. So kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
Give me the Canucks.
Nope. Canucks have 65, actually.
Wow. Is it an East or West Coast team?
Western Conference.
Okay. Can I get an Anaheim? Did we say Anaheim already?
Anaheim's got 64.
Damn.
Let's go with the LA Kings.
Kings have 38.
Mother.
St. Louis Blues.
Blues have 36.
God damn it.
Is it Dallas?
Nope. Dallas 32.
Jesus. Oh my God.
We're gonna get every team named before
Did someone say
this.
Winnipeg?
It's not Winnipeg. They've got
Okay.
31 though. It's pretty close.
Jeez.
Who have we missed? Edmonton?
Nope. Edmonton 64.
There's only one team I can think of we haven't said.
Ooh.
Is it Chicago?
No.
Dude,
39.
that wouldn't make sense. Yeah, they were so good for a while there.
Did anyone say the Avs?
It's not the Avs. 52.
Okay.
Oh my God. Oh, Nashville.
Yes, it's
There you
Nashville
go.
with 28.
Holy
Which to be fair, I mean they haven't been around all that long either, so that's probably
Right.
why. But
Yeah. No, that's
Harry, you clutched that one.
Ugh. Damn. Okay. Yeah, we literally went through I was going by division. I was like, I think we've said every team.
yeah.
Right.
Wow. Okay. So the least amount of deadline deals since 1980 is Nashville, and the most is a two-way tie between the Rangers and the
Pittsburgh
Penguins.
the
That's
Rangers.
wild.
Yep.
Interesting.
Well, it's the Predators, not the Wild. But
True. Good point.
yep.
To wrap up this episode, is there one, let's use the word famous or popular or favorite Caps deadline deal that stands out to you that was like your favorite all time?
Michael Kempney was the missing piece to win the cup.
It's a good one.
That's a good one.
Hard to argue with that. Didn't they also get a Caps defensive legend, Jacob Yarabek, at that deadline too?
I think we might have, yeah.
Nick, is that your favorite, the Kempty move?
Has to be.
The
I will say
Penguins
the one that made me like the most excited ever, the year we got Shattenkirk, I was like, holy shit, we are like pushing the chips in, like we're
Yeah.
gonna win this year.
Was Oshie a deadline move or was that a free agency
No, that was
thing?
like a free agent. That was like over the summer, I believe.
Okay.
What about Fedorov? Was he a deadline move?
I can't remember. I don't think so. I
neither.
think we like signed him for like 1
Okay.
year or something like
Yeah.
that.
You'd remember if it was deadline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Hossa one was sick because I was like, holy mackerel. But
Mhm.
if you've listened to this show, one of my favorite players, probably top five favorite player all time, Jerome McGinley going to the Pens was pretty cool. I actually got to see his first goal as a Penguin in person, which was
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was against Buffalo. Shocker.
The Hossa thing was funny because that's when he was just going to whatever team could get him a cup the quickest. So like he
Yeah.
was like with Pittsburgh, they didn't win it, goes to Detroit, they didn't win it, and then he finally gets it with Chicago.
Mhm.
Yeah, and Pascal Dupuis was in that trade. People forget.
True.
Uh, all right, and Colby Armstrong was in that trade.
Army.
A lot
there
of
you
big
go.
names. Great episode, great deadline. Thank you everybody for listening. Hopefully you didn't punch your steering wheel during that trivia.
They did.
Any final notes before we're done?
Let's go Caps.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening, and we will talk to you in the next one.